Hello, silver fans. This is T, and you're in the place to be for silver education, acquisition, and entertainment. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in today. I have a special opportunity for you to win silver. Hey, not just this Libertad right here, also this old Prospector 1985. Pretty nice, huh? Well, here is the opportunity. From time to time, I have the opportunity to make paid videos. These are sponsored videos, and I have to tell you, I feel honored that Eureka Lithium Corp teamed up with me to create this video. And I'll tell you what, I did my absolute best to make it very, very interesting for you, spliced in lots of video and imagery. And the CEO, Jeffrey Wilson, is a very interesting character. Now, how do you win these, you ask? It's simple. Well, for starters, you've got to be a subscriber. That's number one. Number two, obviously you watch the video. And number three, make a comment. Let me know what you think about Eureka Lithium Corp. And make that comment. And in about a week or so, what I'll do is I'll go back through the comments, pick one, actually two, randomly. And one of you will win that Prospector. And one of you will win this Libertad right here. Hey, without any further ado, let's get to the video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, Jeffrey Wilson, CEO of Eureka Lithium Corp. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel.
It's my pleasure, and thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, you can't talk lithium without talking EVs, electric vehicles. Tell me what you can about the manufacturers investing directly in the mines. Now, we're talking about an industry that previously moved at the speed of glaciers. Now they're suddenly in a big hurry to get on the lithium train for those EVs. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no question that, thanks, I guess, in part to government mandates, and I think a growing movement to, sort of clean up, energy production. We're seeing car manufacturers specifically, among other related industries, pushing to identify the supply of the necessary materials that will be needed to produce this cleaner, green future that so many people are seeking. And I think what we're finding here is that things like lithium, as an example, have been just have not been sought after to the extent that they are today. And so a line on a pending or awaiting lithium deposit has been a real challenge if you're looking for the sort of the quantity that will be needed to feed demand. And so the supply demand ratios have been out of whack. We've seen lithium prices go through the roof over the last couple of years. We're now seeing it sort of ease a little bit, which I think is actually quite net beneficial to us in the industry, because what you don't want is you don't want a commodity to price itself so highly that end users start to look for alternatives. So what we're looking at here is, lithium is falling into a place in terms of its commodity price that I think is manageable for end users. And so you're looking at automakers, as you mentioned, going out and not only identifying lithium, but helping and investing in the identification and discovery of new lithium deposits around the world. And by around the world, I mean in geopolitically sound jurisdictions. We're also seeing in this current environment that we're in now, where geopolitics and trade relations are also becoming key and critical here. You want to make sure that you're identifying these supplies in places where you feel comfortable that you won't be up against nationalization, and that you'll be able to extract this stuff in a manageable manner, and be able to sort of manage the supply chain and any geopolitical risks that may come along with it as well. So the world is shrinking a little bit, and identifying supplies of these kinds of materials, specifically in places like North America, has become really highly sought after.
Yeah, the world is changing so fast. Let me ask you this. I'm into precious metals. I know a little bit about, I'm mostly silver and gold, but I know a little bit about platinum and palladium, and there's been platinum was used in catalytic converters, and then it wasn't. Then they're talking about it coming back to be used again. Just like platinum, was substituted with another metal. Is there a substitute for lithium? Can EVs be made without lithium?
Based off where we are now, not really. I mean, obviously, it's the lithium ion battery that is the most sought after because of its ability. First of all, partly because of its weight. I mean, nobody wants to put an incredibly heavy battery into the bottom of a vehicle. It's counterproductive to its ability to move itself. I think that certainly there are there's research, there are developments underway that could see a change over time. But I think that what we've seen now is these things change so slowly. I mean, if you're talking about assembly lines for automakers, and the components and securing the components that go into building these vehicles, they've got long timelines here in terms of ensuring and securing the necessary supplies. And I just don't think that, even if there is a change in technology at some point down the road, I think that automakers have sort of picked their horse, if you will, with respect to the batteries that will fuel these vehicles for the foreseeable future. Sure, over time, could there be a paradigm shift and a change? Yes, but I don't see that happening because, as I say, there's so much infrastructure in place that's been predicated on lithium ion batteries being the source of energy, that I just don't see that change impacting the need to identify more and more lithium in the foreseeable future here.
Yeah. Eureka Lithium Corp. Tell me what makes your company special.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's been a rush to sort of enter into the lithium space here, certainly in the mining and exploration business, and a lot of that has been focused on a few key areas where there's known lithium mineralization. One side of that is a lot of these guys are moving into places, let's say like southern and southwestern Quebec, in Canada, where there is a significant known region of lithium mineralization. We, however, and what's made us different or makes us different, I think, has taken a different approach. And rather than sort of piling on into areas where a lot of our competitors are already there, and that leaves very little sort of ground to acquire, to be able to explore and find some meaningful mineralization, we've taken a different approach. We've taken, big picture approach and a helicopter view. And that started with aligning ourselves with, as you mentioned, precious metals earlier, a precious metals renowned prospector and sort of a prospector that's gone out and identified some significantly meaningful gold deposits in other parts of Canada in the past, specifically in the Yukon and in Newfoundland. And his success at being able to go in early, identify big tracts of land that have the right affinities to host meaningful mineralization, but haven't yet been explored properly, is what made him a great success in the precious metal space. And he shifted that philosophy or that thinking into the lithium space, identifying this as a place where there was going to be a huge need for supply. And so we aligned with this prospector. His name is Sean Ryan. And Sean basically took a big picture approach and said, where are the right affinities in the world, not just in Canada or North America, but in the world, to host the kinds of deposits that would attract major mining companies to come in and build eventual mines. And he identified northern Quebec as a place that had the right geology, the right geochemistry, the right geophysics, and structural controls, and said, look, there's big tracts of land here where government surveys have already identified meaningful lithium recoveries in lake bottom sediment sampling throughout the entire province. And some of these areas hosted, what ended up being in the 99.5 percentile of lithium readings anywhere in the province. So what does that mean? That means John and Eureka went in and identified these huge tracts of land where there were known lithium results from government surveys, and are starting from sort of first principles in terms of going in and doing the kinds of groundwork that's necessary to identify meaningful targets in areas that we can go back in and identify for drilling. And so we've picked up big land packages. We've engaged some of the best ground exploration crews in the business, and we think we've got what appears to be the potential to identify, meaningful mineralization and lithium deposits in this region. What's also interesting about where we're working is in the region there are some notable big players, and one of those is a private company called Cobalt Metals,
Mm-hmm.
which is backed by the likes of Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates
Mm.
and Richard Branson. And this is a company that's raised hundreds of millions of dollars privately in the search for certain critical metals, and lithium and nickel being among those that they're looking for in Quebec, in the same region where we're working. So an underexplored region with the right affinities, some of the right neighbors exploring in the neighborhood, and an area where mining has existed in the past. One of the biggest nickel mines in the world is in this area. So you've got airstrips, you've got infrastructure, you've got a deep sea port. So if you find it, we believe you can extract it, and we think we're on the precipice here of starting what could be a very significant area play in this part of northern Quebec.
Yeah, those are great neighbors to have. Where are you at specifically in the process, and what's on the horizon? What does 2024 hold in store for Eureka?
Yeah, I think 2024 is really going to be a significant year for the company. In 2023, the company, acquired these assets, raised about $8 million in the first go around in the summer of 2023. Getting everything secured, getting the assets acquired, money in the bank, crews assembled. We sort of hit the ground running in the field in sort of the mid to late summer of last year. And we did what I would consider to be a meaningful first pass of prospecting and sampling and looking to identify the areas within these big land packages that we think have, the best chance of discovery. And so a lot of that work was sort of preparatory for what I think could be a much more substantial season of exploration and potential discovery that will include drilling next year, which is really the ultimate sort of acid test to figure, whether or not you're onto something. And so we'll do a significant amount of groundwork right out of the gate as we get into the spring of 2024, and with the view to drilling, multiple targets in 2024 between sort of, let's say, March and October, November of next year. So a very aggressive exploration field season ahead of us here for the coming year.
So it sounds like my viewers who are watching, I have the opportunity to jump in at the ground floor before you guys really blow up and those results start coming in and everybody's on board.
Absolutely, and so I think that the ratcheting up for next year is definitely going to be exciting. As a bit of an augment to that, we've also in recent weeks announced the signing of a letter of intent for an additional piece of ground that is in perhaps a more active and known part of Quebec, in southern Quebec, not far from a place called Val d'Or, which has got a significant mining history. And we've acquired an option to acquire 100% of a project that is a little bit different. It gives us an augment during the seasons where we're not active up north because of the weather, and we can explore year round. There's road access and really good infrastructure, and this new project called Lac La Motte, and we plan to initiate a drill program there in the coming weeks. So perhaps as early as January or February, we may have drills turning in a very active lithium region in southern Quebec.
Sounds like you guys aren't messing around. Jeffrey, any other things that you want my viewers to know about Eureka before we say goodbye?
No, I mean, I think aside from the fundamentals we've talked about the projects and the sector that we're in, this is a relatively new company. We've got less than 50 million shares out, so it's a tight structure. We're well financed. We raised $1.8 million to top up the treasury just a couple of weeks ago. And so fully financed, 100% ownership of the assets, and got the team and the people to ratchet up here for, as I mentioned before, a very aggressive 2024. We're really looking forward to it.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Hey, thanks for the time, Jeffrey.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.